Hello everyone, you are welcome to another episode of No Gray Areas with Sazi. I hope you all are staying safe. Please stay safe. We love you. We care about you. Stay safe. All right, this is a new week and we have a question for the week. Now the question came in and it reads thus. Hello Sazi, is it right for a married woman to ask for financial favors from her ex just because her husband is financially low or down at the moment? Is it right? All right, so this was the question that came in. So please come with me. Let's go straight. Right now, you all know how much I talk about how marriage is a serious business. Marriage is a serious business and we don't play with it. I've talked about it over and over here. Now, I wrote certain things down before I go into my point. I said we should understand that there are reasons for every decisions in life. There are reasons for every decision we make or we take in life. There are reasons. That's one thing we should understand. And we should also know that in whatever decision we are trying to make, we should know that marriage is not just about you. It's also about the other person. So you need to take into cognizance your spouse's respect. You take into cognizance your spouse's honor and of course his ego. So we need to understand that marriage is not just about you, but also about the other person. Now, that being said, I'll go right into what I think as my opinion. Now, I say yes, it is okay for you to ask for financial favors from your ex. And wait for it, people. No, it is also not okay. So what do I mean by this? There are reasons why it is okay for you to ask for financial favors from your ex. And there are reasons as well why it is absolutely a big no-no. So let's go into the positives. So let's look at the positive side. The reason why it is okay for you to ask for such favors. Number one, child support. What if there was a child in the mix? What if there was a child in the picture? What if while you guys were in that relationship, you had a child? Of course, the lady will have to reach out to this man for child support. Especially if her husband is financially down at the moment. Because I believe that there are a lot of men out there, because of their ego, they can adopt the child of their wife. Yes, from a previous relationship. They can adopt that child and they will be 100% responsible for the upkeep of that child. Yes, some men do that. A lot of men, as a matter of fact, they can do that. But right now, the man is financially down, and of course, taking up that responsibility of that child might be a bit ambiguous for the man. So it is okay for this woman to reach out, this married woman to reach out to her ex for child support, because it is the two of them that brought that child into the world. So both of them have to be responsible for the child. And if it's a situation where the ex is not responding or is not seeing any reason why he should look out for this child, you can take it up in the legal way. Of course, people take these things to court, and the court has to make the man know that you have to pay for child support. You have to take care of your child. You have to be responsible for your child, especially as a father. So yes, that is one of the reasons that I see as being okay to reach out to an ex for, I won't even call this one financial favors, but it's okay for a married lady to reach out to her ex on this ground. Another thing I wrote as well is this your last resort? Have you tried other avenues? Have you explored other avenues? Have you reached out to people, your friends, your husband's friends, your family, your husband's family, your colleagues? Have you even tried to take a loan and all these options did not work out? Have you tried every other option? If this ends up being your last resort, then it is okay for you to reach out to the ex. That is if you have tried every other avenue and everything seemed not to work out except for this ex we're talking about. Now, If you are reaching out to this ex, it must be done with your husband's consent. Your husband must be in the know. No man wants to be embarrassed. No man wants to receive such low blows from the wife. Going to call your ex behind your husband. No man wants to receive such disrespect. So it's very important that your husband is aware, he is carried along, he is in the picture, and he gives his consent to say, okay, I'm fine with you reaching out to your ex for us to get this financial favor at the moment. Your husband must be in the know. And need I say this? Of course, it depends on how the relationship ended between you and your ex. It is not every ex that everyone will go to ask for financial favors. No, it is not every ex you will do that. Especially if that relationship ended up on a bad note. You cannot go to an ex that the relationship was really messy. It ended up in a messy way that you never want to see the person never wants to see you. You can't reach out to such ex to ask for favors. So of course, it means that you have a good relationship with that ex. That is the reason why you are going to meet that ex. Probably the relationship could not lead to marriage, either because of the genotype, it wasn't compatible, or maybe something else that was not so bad. And both of you decided to call it off mutually and respectfully. Then you can reach out to such ex or exes. And of course, like I said, your husband must be in the know and he must give his consent to this decision. Number 3 I wrote down is ensure that when you do this, it does not bring disrespect and dishonor to your husband or to your marriage. If it does not bring disrespect and dishonor to your marriage, then it is okay, especially if your husband is in the know. Do it with respect. Do it with every level of decorum. Do it with every level of responsibility, knowing the reason why you are going to meet this ex we're talking about. So please ensure you do this and you do not do it in a disrespectful manner, and you do not dishonor your marriage in the process or dishonor your husband in the process. The next thing I wrote down as well is instead of constantly going to reach out to this ex for financial favors, why don't you sit down with your husband and ask if it is okay for you to get the contact you need, the necessary contact you need, or business idea you need from this ex, or if it is possible for this ex to set you up financially for you to run a business of your own, so you will not have to go back constantly to ask for favors from this ex. So this is another avenue, is another method for you to take. Instead of constantly reaching out to that ex for one trouble or the other, it's okay for you to talk to your husband if he is okay with you asking for your ex's support financially so you can start up a business. If your husband is okay with it, if he does not have any challenge, if he does not have any squabble, any issue why he should stop it, then it's fine for you to reach out to your ex for that favor. Now, I wrote few downsides, few negatives to this decision as well. 1, some exes are control freaks. Some exes want to always call the shots. Some exes are sore losers. They don't know how to endure it when they lose in the relationship. They just can't stand it when you are the one that called off the relationship. Some exes can't stand it. They are control freaks. So they would want to oblige you this favor so that tomorrow they put it in your face and make you know that, yes, I got you now. They rub it off in your face and make you know that you were the one that called off this relationship. At this point, I can do whatever I want to do just for people to know that I am calling off the relationship. They can do it to spite you. So that is one of the things that you don't want to happen. That is one of the things you don't want to happen. The second thing that is a negative in this situation is some exes say yes to such things because of sexual reward they want to get from you. So as a married lady, there are some exes that don't know how to draw the line. They don't know what is wrong. They just want to use you sexually because they are handing some little favors to you here and there. So you need to watch out for things like that. Some exes are that mean. Some exes are that irresponsible. They just want to put it in your face that you're coming back to them after, asking them, after probably calling off the relationship. So you need to look out for things like that. It's a big no-no for you to go back to your ex to start having sexual relationship with him when you are married to your husband, or even to anybody else. You don't go to have sexual relationship with anybody else, whether your ex or not, because you want to support your husband. Please, it means you want to self-destruct. That is what you're doing. You want to self-destruct, and it's a big no-no. It's highly unacceptable by 𝙆𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀, here, and of course the society in general, and of God, God frowns at it. So it's absolutely a big no-no. And the last thing I wrote down here is, they either want to do this to blackmail you. Some exes want to blackmail you when you come to ask for this kind of favors. And they also want to spite your marriage and spite your husband, especially when you don't carry your husband along, especially when your husband is not in the know and you are making this decision. Some exes who want to blackmail you, or they want to spite your marriage or your husband. And that is not what we want for our husbands. That is not absolutely what we want for our husbands. So here is the little I could come up with. Because of time, I will leave the rest to the professionals. So expect the professionals' view after this video. Hello everyone, you're welcome back to the professional's view on the same question of the week. Now, I called 3 people, to handle this, and 2 amongst them are ladies and the other one is a man. Now, they are all married. They've been married for more than a decade, and they are respected in their various fields. Trust me, they know their onion. So now when I call these people, in fact, one of the ladies told me that, hey, 𝙆𝙀𝙀, my view might be a bit unpopular, but at the end of the day, it's for everybody's good. Even the man shared the same sentiment as well. But at the end of the day, every one of them landed on the same scale. So let's go right into what they said, and let's pick 1 or 2. Now, the first thing I wrote from talking with them was, how does the woman and her husband view relationship to the opposite sex? So what they actually mentioned that we need to understand how the man views his wife being friends with the opposite sex, and how the woman views the man being friends with the opposite sex. There are some men that they don't see any reason why their wives should have a male as a friend. Some women as well don't see a reason why their husband should have a female as a friend. How much more their exes or their ex. So it depends on how both of them view the relationship between, with the opposite sex. It will take off from there. Now, the second thing I wrote from talking with them was, have this woman explored other options? Why is it that the ex is the only person that can help in this situation? That the woman should try other avenues. Why don't you reach out to your colleagues, your husband's colleagues, maybe your business partners? Have you gone to the bank? I even made mention of this in my own opinion. Have you gone to the bank to take a loan? Have you reached out to your family? Have you reached out to your husband's family? Have you reached out to friends around? And this is your last resort. This is the only option you have. So they said that this woman should look closely. There might just be somebody else that can help to assist her for, to support the husband right now. So it's important that you look out for other avenues and other options, Then another thing they made mention of is, it depends on the kind of relationship the woman and her ex had and how the relationship ended. That it depends on the kind of relationship they both shared while they were dating. They said, see, there are some exes that are not mean. There are some exes that they are very responsible. That some relationship probably was called off on the ground of, an incompatible genotype. Maybe for genotype reason. Maybe the man had to travel out to study, or the lady had to travel out to study, and the other person just could not wait. And they both mutually agreed to say, you know what? Since you can't wait for me to return, you can get married. But nothing went bad. Nothing happened. They did not call off the relationship on a bad note. Maybe they grew apart. Maybe their choices grew apart. Maybe their dreams, their aspiration actually grew apart. And they came to realize that this is not for us. We are not compatible, especially with regards to marriage. So they had to come together to do this, to dissolve or to end the relationship on a mutual ground. So it all depends on how the relationship ended. And that is going to now inform your decision whether you can go actually meet this ex for the favor or not. It all depends. The relationship probably ended very well. The relationship probably, still, maybe they're even family friends. There are some exes that still have a good relationship with both families. Maybe they are even family friends. So it depends on the kind of relationship they once had when they were in that relation, where they were dating, and what it is now. So it all depends. Another thing I also wrote down is they said it depends on the kind of assistance we're talking about. That besides financial assistance, there are other assistance that a woman can ask from her ex, or a man can ask from his ex. Now, the man in particular, as in the man, the professional, the man, told me something. He said, what if this man, this ex, is the only doctor to save the life of this woman? What if this ex is a medical consultant and this woman is going to him for this help? What if it's a medically related problem and this man can actually help? He has some doctor friends that can actually save the situation. What if the woman's husband is dying and the person that can save him right now is the ex? Either he's a doctor or he knows a doctor that can help, or he can actually give, one little financial assistance or the other. Is it that you're going to turn it down because he's called an ex? That it depends on the kind of assistance we're talking about here. That you don't just write, because they are called exes, just write them off completely. That is not always the case like that. So it depends on the kind of assistance we're looking at. The next thing they brought to my attention as well was she should understand that society perceive exes in a certain way. That they see exes in a generic way. They feel that, society feel like, because I'm done with this relationship, I should move on and never, ever have anything to do with this person. But it's not always the case. Society has a way of, putting everybody in one box. Good exes, bad exes, ugly exes, fine exes, they just have a way of putting all exes in one box. But that in reality, some exes are really great guys or great ladies. And they honestly don't want anything extra from you. Some exes are God-fearing. They don't want to damage your marriage. They don't want to destroy your marriage. When you reach out to them, they just only help and walk away. So it depends on how society also view this thing. And that's the reason why sometimes when a woman or a man is in need and the person that really will want to help them is an ex, they don't want to go there because of the way society perceive exes. Now, the next thing that they brought to my attention was she should understand that some people do not know how to separate issues. Some exes are terrible at separating issues. Some exes feel like, because you have reached out to me for this financial favor, so you probably want to get sexual, you probably want to awaken any sexual thing that probably happened in the past. Some exes don't know how to draw the lines. So the woman needs to also be informed that this could be a possibility. Going to meet that ex for that financial favor, some exes don't know how to separate issues. They feel that because you have come to them for this help, of course, in their minds, is already telling them, there's nothing free. There's no free lunch anywhere. Even in Freetown, there is nothing free. So some exes don't know how to separate issues. They feel like, because she came back to me to ask for this favor, she probably still has a thing for me. The emotion she once had for me is probably still there. It's a good time for us to spark up the flames that we once had, in the past. So some exes don't know how to separate issues. And when you know that these exes are like that, please don't go there. Don't even dare to ask for these favors, because it's going to be really tough. Then the next thing they also mentioned to me is she has to consider if her husband's ego will be bruised. Some men, their egos will be destroyed. So you need to consider if your husband's ego will be bruised. That was one of the things they told me. That some men can't stand this. Some men can't endure it. As a matter of fact, this can be a deal breaker in a marriage completely. If the husband comes to know, it might be a deal breaker. So you need to also know, the kind of husband you're married to. You need to understand your husband's psychology. You need to just understand that, is this man the kind of man that his ego will be bruised if I do this? You need to understand your spouse, your husband, before you make such decision. And then finally, what they all said, they said she should understand that in all of these considerations, her husband must be informed about the decision she's about to take, and the husband must give consent. The husband must be in the know. He must give consent. The husband must oblige you this. He must say, yes, go ahead and do it. You don't take this decision on your own. And they also generally advise that anything that you don't have the ability or the capacity to carry or to manage, don't get involved in it. It's very important for you not to get involved in something you don't have the capacity to carry. It's very important. So finally, from Sazi, I will say this. My mom usually said this to us when we were growing up. Flee every appearance of evil. If you see this as evil and you know that there's an appearance of evil in it, flee, run for the sake of your marriage, run for your respect, run for your integrity, run because you want to keep your home running. Financial, difficulties don't last forever. Try other avenues. Somehow a way will come. As long as you are not lazy, you're pushing, something can work. So these are the things that I was able to gather after talking with them. And I just want to say thank you to every one of you for sharing our videos, for liking. Please do this for us. People out there need to hear these things. A lot of people are out there waiting for solutions like this. I appreciate you all. Stay tuned and God bless you as we come back next week for another episode. Bye.